All right, and we will call this meeting of the Water and Sewer Authority of Cabarrus County to order. Looks like we have a quorum. The first item was an oath of office. We don't see Rob yet, so we will push that to the next meeting unless he shows up before we can add it back. But so we will hunt that.
Somebody coming by there.
I think somebody. He just walking by, maybe.
That might have been with you before.
All right. Well, while we're waiting, do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Second, did somebody's, yep, no, that's our fearless attorney. All right. All right, so we have some unfinished business. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes from November 21st, 2024?
So moved.
Second.
A motion second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, Chad, we have a budget amendment for a pass-through grant with Prime.
This has been a long time coming, to get to the point.
Should we send some fireworks?
Yeah.
Or buy a lottery ticket?
Yeah.
Which one?
So, we are happy to announce that Prime has continued to stay in compliance. They've continued to operate in a very similar manner to they were kind of during we still monitor what they're doing, but during the close monitoring period that we had. So we have received the $585 grant and gone through all the processes with the state, or Wendy has, to make this now available to be able to transfer these funds to Prime as a sub-grantee. So we're just asking for approval of the budget amendment to do that.
Any questions for Chad? on This topic? All right, do I hear?
Should I be bold enough to make the motion?
I think you should.
I think
make
you
the motion.
should.
Move that we approve the budget amendment
Right.
to grant to Prime Beverage the $585,000.
Second to that motion. All right, motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, Chad, you got some updates?
I'm gonna be quick this month. So, just a couple, everything very positive. We do have, after several months of search, we do have hired a new assistant engineering director that will be starting in January. His name's Kevin Loescher. He will be moving down from the Maryland area, very experienced in utility, projects. So, seems to be, very, self-motivated, go-getter. So we're looking forward to getting him down here and getting Thomas some more help with all the work that we have coming. So he will be starting in January, and we're excited to fill that position. We also had our employee Christmas luncheon on December 5th. That was well attended, good food, good times, a lot of laughs. But I do want to point out, we included in our newsletter, but we had 8 people just this year celebrating 10 years or more service with the Water and Sewer Authority. And at only 57 current active employees, that's a pretty high percentage. So we kind of dug into the numbers a little more. 25 of our 57 current employees have been with WSACC for 10 years or more. So that's over 40% of our staff's been with us for over 10 years, with an average of 11.52 years of service. That 11.52 includes the fact that we have 9 with less than 2 years of experience. So we have 9 very junior employees. So I think a lot of efforts, we've recognized the value of finding good employees and retaining good employees, and a lot of steps that staff has made and the board has supported and approved are really paying off. I started at WSACC in 2007. At that time, we had 62 full-time employees and doing significantly less amount of work. We had less lines, we had smaller plant, we had less going on. And today we have 57 employees doing almost, twice the budget's worth of work. And that's because we got great employees, and they're good, motivated, driven employees. And so I just wanted to let y'all know that the efforts of retaining employees and supporting our employees and developing them is really, I feel like, paying off. And so it just kind of stood out when seeing some of those numbers. So
Just don't let their names out anywhere for
Correct,
anybody else to
correct.
snag them.
I know. But I do appreciate all the support that this board has shown towards the WSACC employees, and it doesn't go unrecognized by our employees. That's good to know. That's all I had this month, so nice and quick.
Who's your longest tenured employee now? Do you know offhand?
Wayne Dabbs,
740 years.
57 years.
57.
Wasack and Concord?
It's gonna be Beverly Metcalf.
Yes. No, Mark Lomax.
Mark Lomax, I'm sorry.
Lomax is
And
after
then
that. So, yes, we have, yeah, significant numbers
What are
there.
their tenures? Are they in the 30?
40, Mark
40?
Lomax is 42, and I think Beverly's 36, 37.
Yeah, and Wayne's 57.
Wow.
His wife's on my team. My wife's on my team.
Yeah, when you get in the 30 years plus of service, that's something special. So,
Sure is.
no doubt. All right, thank you, Chad.
Yes.
All right, we have some new business. Request for approval of the Back Creek Interceptor Improvements Bid Tabulation Recommendation and a follow-up to that. So Thomas, I'll turn that over to you.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, we have bid out the Back Creek Improvements Project. That's about 7,900 linear feet of 36-inch pipe, parallel to some 12-inch pipe that's existing in that area. This will both support growth in that area surrounding it, for example, Harrisburg. And it's also sized for future projected Charlotte water growth that may come through an extension of that line to the county line from there. But this goes up through, make sure. This goes from roughly Stallings Road up to Hickory Ridge Road, just crosses it. So that's kind of the area we're looking at here. We did receive 4 bids for this project. And the low bidder was Park Construction of North Carolina at roughly $5.4 million. You can see the 2 lowest were really close to each other. So we read those numbers a couple times and Black and Beach checked them a couple times. And found everything to be in order. So we would ask that you approve the award of this contract to Park Construction.
I would like to point out, this is the project that we're doing with money because Cottle Creek came in under budget. This project also has come dramatically under budget, which leaves us with about $3.5 million
That's right.
of the original Cottle Creek money left. So we are currently with the I&I project that we have going on right now, study, we're trying to identify a rehab project that we can get moving pretty quick because we've got several kind of key areas that we can move forward a sewer rehab project on some of our large diameter sewer to utilize that money by the end of 2026. So we were fearful of not being able to do the entire Cottle Creek project. Now we're going to be able to do Cottle Creek, the entire Cottle Creek, Back Creek, and it looks like a big chunk of a rehab project. So I do want to point that out.
Thomas, I'm sorry, I was focused on how close those first 2 numbers were. Did you say we've had Park do some work for us before, or are they new to us?
No, to my knowledge, Park is new to us. Black and Beach, our project manager with them is out of Cary, their Cary office. Park is out of Morrisville, North Carolina. And so the Cary folks with Black and Beach have done a lot of work with Park. They are happy with what they've had out of them. So they think we're going to have a very good job. It's just they're not as common in our area as they are up there.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
And the budget originally was 8 million something, or what we expected it to be?
Well, the latest estimate that we have is from the master plan work, and that was 6.4 million roughly. So about $1 million under that budget. I believe the original budget had a longer run of pipe going all the way to the Mecklenburg County line. So we had a larger budget that I can't remember right off, but a larger budget for that one. But this is under even the master plan estimate by $1 million, basically.
5% contingency.
Yes, there is a contingency. I believe it is 5%.
All right, other questions?
Move to approve.
Okay. Got a motion to approve the contract award? A second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Okay, next one's yours too, Thomas.
Sure. So along with that same project, we have a proposal for construction phase services on this project from Black and Beach. This covers the typical submittals, questions from the contractor, some part-time field inspection work, record drawings, and those sorts of things. So that proposal, they have done the design on the project. That's gone well with them for the design on this work. And so we anticipate the services during construction would as well. That total fee is $283,040. I would ask for your approval of that as well.
So that's about 4%.
Yes, sir. Yes, out of 5.4, something like that.
Any questions? I hear a motion to approve this scope and services, services and fees. Got a motion? Got a second? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion carries. All right, Thomas, 3 for 3.
Yes, sir. So this is at the Rocky River wastewater treatment plant, this next one. This is an existing generator that we have, which is our older generator installed around 2000, and it is a single 2 megawatt generator. As part of the electrical upgrades we've recently completed, we now have 2 3 megawatt generators at the site on the new loop of cables and on the new switch gear, all those sorts of things. So we have a need to sell the existing older generator. So far, the preliminary pricing that we've seen is $100,000 from some folks that Crowder reached out to. But this is for, this item is for you to approve listing this on an auction site. We'll list this on our website as well. We will set a reserve on this. So it's not saying we would only get $100,000, but since we have that preliminary pricing, we will set a reserve to kind of protect that and see where it goes from there.
Any questions on this item?
It's been a long time, but once you get a bid, does it go through an upset bid process after that, or will you accept something above your reserve?
I believe we would accept something above the reserve. I understand. And this comes to you because it is over the $30,000 threshold as surplus property.
Okay. Other questions? Our motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Motion,
Second.
second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion carries. All right, Thomas, 4 for 4. Give us a CIP update.
I promise I'll stop after this one. And so moving back from the world of finance again into engineering. This is a presentation on WSACC CIP updates. We went through a similar scope of a presentation back in October, I believe, but just an update on several projects that we have in progress at the moment. So starting off with treatment plant construction, phase 3, as we discussed last month, is still moving with the non-capacity related items, things that were not required to get to 30 MGD for phase 3. So for example, work at the granite thickeners, we have finished converting to the new phase 3 electrical equipment. So that's been a key milestone to achieve. And then work on the interceptor building is continuing as well, along with some work on primary clarifier rehab that goes with that. Again, not required for the 30 MGD capacity. We've achieved that. The state has documented that. We are reporting under our 30 MGD permit now. But these are things that were included in that phase 3 scope overall. Phase 4 is very active in progress at the moment. In the last month, they have shut down and cleaned out aeration basin 5. I have been in that aeration basin when it wasn't as clean. Now it's somewhere that you can spend some time down there. So they are working on building some sister walls down in that basin, doing some other modifications and repairs within that basin that is original to the plant. They have placed our new RAS electrical building. We are getting 8 new RAS pump stations, 1 per secondary clarifier, that will allow some better control of return activated sludge with our biological process. They're continuing a lot of piping work. They're continuing to build, to excavate, get the subgrade for the anoxic basin on number 5, to supplement that biological process. Some other modifications at aeration basin 5 that I've mentioned. Secondary clarifier distribution boxes. They've installed a large surge tank down in our main pump station, which will help in getting us some more capacity down there and improving those hydraulic conditions. And they are starting work on the equalization tank number 2 now. So during our our ribbon cutting, for phase 3, you know, we had the large excavation for that EQ tank. So they've actually moved in, they are starting work out there now, coming up kind of out of the ground, with that tank at this point. So moving from that into, some collection system projects, the Lower Cottle Creek Parallel Interceptor, is underway. We do have some construction work to report down there. They have installed a doghouse manhole and they've started relocation of some existing 30-inch line at the downstream end of the project. And very soon they will begin laying the 48-inch pipeline and setting manholes along it as well. They've received a lot of manholes, a lot of pipe out there, and they're getting going, laying all that now. Back Creek, we talked about just a few minutes ago. That's the 7,900 feet of 36-inch sewer. And we've considered the construction phase services and the bid for that work during this board meeting. So we will move forward with that following this board meeting. Master plan update. We have finalized the flow acceptance dashboard. We're still working with Black and Veatch on the jurisdictional flow monitoring and ICIP dashboards, some connectivity things and working out a few bugs in those. We have continued our master plan presentations to member jurisdiction boards. In the last month, DEQ has provided corrected speculative limits for 40 MGD and 50 MGD. There were some fairly minor corrections, but things that can help us down the road, like having the appropriate percentages for chronic toxicity, having the appropriate designations for some limits, those sorts of things. And Black and Veatch is currently working on the environmental documentation, the engineering alternatives analysis, and that will be a key part of our new MPDES permit application to DEQ. So at the end of that process, we will provide that engineering alternatives analysis to DEQ, and we will apply for a 50 MGD permit limits page for the Rocky River plant. That 50 MGD permit limits page will allow us to expand in increments, you know, between 34 and 50 along the way.
So the alternatives are all based on being placed at the current plant, at the existing plant?
For this study, the alternatives are related to the Rocky River plant because this is a permit for additional capacity at the Rocky River plant. There are some standard alternatives the state has you look at for every project. So there is, for example, a do nothing alternative. You have to say what happens if you don't do anything. So there are some that are kind of, I won't say placeholders, but are not viable for what we're looking at. But what we're focusing on here is what it takes at the Rocky River plant to get to 50 MGD there. It does not preclude us from any of the other efforts to seek capacity in other areas of the county. And we will be folding, we just talked with Black and Veatch today, we will be folding some of the Brown and Cobble efforts I'll talk about in a minute into the Black and Veatch work so that that's all coordinated and that's all clear and consistent as it goes into the state.
Thomas, did they change all of the speculative limits or they just change a few here and there?
Just a few here and there. The key things are chronic toxicity. For example, they had set that at 90%, which means that we would have to provide 90% of our effluent with 10% of the control water. And we'd have to pass a test for chronic toxicity based on that.
Right.
That was not appropriate based on our ratio of our flow to the low flows in the river. So they recognized that and scaled that back to 75% and 79%. And I think there was one labeling error. They have one labeled as BOD and it was really CBO. So relatively
So things got better rather than getting worse as they
That's
corrected
correct.
the numbers. Good.
So on the wastewater treatment facilities plan and preliminary engineering report, we need a shorter name for this one. We have finalized with Brown and Cobble several technical memos on influent loads for Rocky River and Muddy Creek, an analysis of future effluent permit conditions. Brown and Cobble has let us know that they are very close to submitting water quality modeling TM for Cottle Creek and Wolf Meadow Branch. So that would be in support of a potential plant in that area. They are working on plant analysis TMs for the existing Rocky River plant and Muddy Creek plant to make sure that any solutions to expand capacity at either are recognizing all of the functions and features we have at each of those. They are continuing development of their alternatives analysis for wastewater treatment in both the Rocky River and the Muddy Creek service areas. So that's both, capacity at Rocky River and capacity within other parts of the service area, such as the Wolf Meadow Branch or the Mount Pleasant options that we've talked about. They're looking at Muddy Creek, of course, as well with that for opportunities to expand in that area. And then coming out of that alternatives analysis, which should be done, we understand in the spring timeframe of this coming year, they will develop a preliminary engineering report for the selected alternative at each plant. So Rocky River and Muddy Creek, whatever is selected within those service areas for each. And I believe the I&I study is the last one here. We've worked on this with HDR and with member jurisdiction staff. We've got bi-weekly calls to get updates on these. We just had one last week. HDR has removed the temporary flow meters as of late November. We did get some additional rainfall in November, which was helpful for the I&I study itself. HDR is processing those preliminary results, and they provided this map as part of a recent presentation looking at some priority areas. They are digging into some other priority areas as well, but this gives you kind of a feel for how they are zooming into certain areas as they go along. So their next steps, they're on the cusp of delivering a draft TM memo on the I&I reduction strategies. They are continuing development of a dashboard for priority basins and subbasins. And they are looking at policies, ordinances, and standards, just kind of a general look at those across the board to see if they'd recommend looking at any changes that might affect I&I there. And we will have a draft recommendations review meeting near the end of January of 2025. That's the last one. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Any more questions for Thomas? Good information. Okay, thank you, Thomas. Okay, we will open up this meeting to public comments. Do we have anybody that would like to speak to the board? Hearing none, I do have an announcement and a recognition. We've been informed, unfortunately, that this will be our colleague Lynn Shue's final meeting with this board. The commissioners have decided to replace Lynn with Commissioner Meismer, who will be joining our board in January. We'll do the swearing in for him and for Rob at that meeting, but most of you have known Lynn for a number of years. He's been a resident here his whole life. He's been a public servant, both on the school board for about 14 years and as a county commissioner the past decade, chair of the school board for a couple of years there, I believe. And been a faithful, active participant of this board for the past 4 years. So Lynn, you will be missed, and we're sad to see, to hear that news, but we understand it, and that's the way things go sometimes. But we do have a little token of our appreciation, and why don't we all join Lynn in thanking him for.
Stand right there.
I'm gonna miss you guys too. I tell you, I'm hobbling around here lately, but I'm still getting around. Miss you now.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss you guys. But anyway, you'll be in good hands with Mr. Meisler.
Sorry.
All right. Anything else for the board before we go into closed session?
I'll ask, have the other two county appointees been informed of any changes at this point in time? Or do we know anything at all about whether you two are going to be with us for a while longer? Do we
I
know
haven't
anything?
heard anything, so.
I suspect that either this is my last meeting or Our meeting next month is before the commissioner's official meeting, and they normally make decisions. I may be here next month, but I think after that, there'll be a new appointee for my position.
Make sure you come back so we can recognize you as well publicly.
All right.
Please.
Yeah.
You don't have to stay for the whole thing. It's like council meeting, people get their plaque, they're like, I'm out the door.
Or I have stuff on the smoker.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Maybe we'll just come to your house.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get Fowler to Peter.
I guess we'll see how all that shakes out. This board's always been resilient and we will react to whatever is thrown our way and we'll keep plugging away for the good of this county. So at the end of the day, that's all that matters. All right. Do I hear a motion to go into closed session under GS 143-318-11A1?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?